Hi guys, Miss Davis here, back for day 28 of the Anne Frank series. So today I'm going to do something a little bit unusual. I think my video is going to be a little shorter than it usually is, and why not? It's a Friday night, a little break. But the thing that I want to talk about today is this really special journal entry. It's not very long, and the journal entry that follows it is a little bit too long to squeeze into the same video. So I'm just going to do one journal entry today, but it's an important one. It's one that really, I guess for lack of a better word, it gets me in the heartstrings because it's so close to what it is that I do for a living. So, if you've been hanging out with me long enough to be watching day 28 of the Anne Frank series, you definitely deserve to get to know me a little bit better. So, I'm a classroom teacher. I have been a classroom teacher for the last 18 years. I have always taught at least 10th grade English, and right now I'm teaching English 10, English 11, English 12, and college English. And so I really like high schoolers. I like working with that age group because they do this great thing. Some of the kids do it in 10th grade. Some of them actually do it a little bit earlier before they get to me. But for a lot of kids, it's the 10th grade year that's the magic year. And for others, it's junior year, sometimes senior year, but sometime within that time span, I get to watch kids grow up. I get to watch them sort of put aside their childish things, put away their things, reflect on themselves a little bit, like Anne's been doing in her latest journal entries, and I get to watch them have this moment of clarity. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to watch it happen, where they go, I know what I want to do. I know what I am. I know what I'm good at. I know what I love. I know what my passions are, and I know what I want my life to be about. I know it. And they'll share it with me. Sometimes I get to just watch the realization wash over their face. Sometimes they'll tell me, and sometimes it'll just be like a slow thing that I get to watch over the course of a year. A kid kind of come into their own and find out who they are and go, yeah, I'm okay with that. That's cool. So that's one of the reasons I really am missing my classroom. One of the things I'm really missing about my job and about the hustle and bustle, the exuberance of life of working in a high school and working with young people. I'm missing them. I'm missing watching them grow up. And the journal entry that I'm going to do today, Anne does it. And it's beautiful. And every time I read this book, I'm like, oh, there it is. I've been waiting for this one. And maybe it's because I'm an English teacher, and she because of what she says, and you'll hear it in a couple of minutes here. Maybe that's why it pulls on my heartstrings so. And maybe it's just the general old familiar glowy joyful feeling of watching a kid go, I know what it is. That's it. I know what it is. I know what I am. And so I'm gonna get into the journal entry today. I'm gonna read it, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more, and then I'm gonna say goodbye for the day. So this very special journal entry starts on Tuesday, the 4th of April, 1944. She says, Dear Kitty, for a long time I haven't had any idea of what I was working for anymore. The end of the war is so terribly far away, so unreal, like a fairy tale. If the war isn't over by September, I shan't go to school anymore, because I don't want to be 2 years behind. Peter filled my days, nothing but Peter, dreams and thoughts until Saturday, when I felt so utterly miserable. Oh, it was terrible. I was holding back my tears all the while I was with Peter. Then laughed with Van Dan over a lemon punch, was cheerful and excited, but the moment I was alone, I knew that I would have to cry my heart out. So, clad in my nightdress, I let myself go, and slipped down onto the floor. First I said my long prayer very earnestly. Then I cried with my head on my arms, my knees bent up on the bare floor, completely folded up. One large sob brought me back to earth again, and I quelled my tears because I didn't want them to hear anything in the next room. Then I began trying to talk some courage into myself. I could only say, I must, I must, I must. Completely stiff from the unnatural position, I fell against the side of the bed and fought on until I climbed into bed again, just before 10:30. It was over. And now it's all over. I must work, so as not to be a fool, to get on, to become a journalist, because that's what I want. I know that I can write. A couple of my stories are good. My descriptions of the secret annex are humorous. There's a lot in my diary that speaks, but whether I have real talent remains to be seen. Eva's Dream is my best fairy tale, and the queer thing about that is that I don't know where it comes from. Quite a lot in Katie's life is good too, but on the whole, it's nothing. I'm the best and sharpest critic of my own work. I know myself what is and what is not well written. Anyone who doesn't write doesn't know how wonderful it is. I used to bemoan the fact that I couldn't draw at all, but now I'm more than happy that I can at least write. And if I haven't any talent for writing books or newspaper articles, well, then I can always write for myself. I want to get on. I can't imagine that I would have to lead the same sort of life as Mummy and Mrs. Van Daan, and all the women who do their work and then are forgotten. I must have something besides a husband and children, something that I can devote myself to. I want to go on living even after my death, and therefore I am grateful to God for giving me this gift, this possibility of developing myself and of writing, of expressing all that is in me. I can shake off everything if I can write. My sorrows disappear, my courage is reborn, but, and that's the great question, will I ever be able to write anything great? Will I ever become a journalist or a writer? I hope so. Oh, I hope so very much, for I can recapture everything when I write, my thoughts, my ideals, and my fantasies. I haven't done anything more to Katie's life for ages. In my mind I know exactly how it will go on, but somehow it doesn't flow from my pen. Perhaps I shall never finish it. It may land up in the wastepaper basket or the fire. That's a horrible idea. But then I think to myself, at the age of 14 and with so little experience, how can you write about philosophy? So I go on again with fresh courage. I think I shall succeed because I want to write. Yours, Anne. This journal entry, like I said before, I just love it. There's quite a few things going on in it that I want to take a couple minutes to talk about because I got a little bit of time today. Why not? At the first part of her journal entry, the first page or so, talking about like just overcome with despair and having a crying fit and just letting herself go to sobs. And guys, it's okay. Like sometimes you just gotta cry it out. Like, or just go be quiet. I know that boys often are like, I'm not gonna cry, but whatever. It's okay to be sad, and it's okay to let that out, and then kind of suck it up, pick yourself back up off the floor, quite literally, and then get on to what it is that you're doing. And I find it interesting that directly after a moment of despair where she's just like, she's lying on the floor and sobbing her heart out, she gets up, she's like, all right, you gotta do this, kiddo. And it's in that moment of clarity that she goes, I know why I have to keep studying, and I know why I have to keep learning. I don't want to be a fool. I want to be a writer. And I think that some of our moments of the most clarity come right after our darkest moments. So I don't want you to despair if you're sad, or if you're feeling overwhelmed, or if you're just super over this coronavirus quarantine. It's okay. Hang in there. Stay strong, because whatever you're here to do, whatever your purpose is, because you have one. You have air going in and out your lungs. If that heart is beating in your chest, then you have a purpose. There's a reason for you to be here. And there's a gift that God has given you, or whatever your higher power is, or, maybe you don't believe in God, that's fine. You do have a purpose for your existence and a reason that you're put on the planet. And Anne has hit on hers, and she is right. And how prolific and ironic is it that she's her life is cut short by the Nazis in World War II, but in her way, she really does live forever. She says, I want to go on living even after my death, and therefore I am grateful to God for giving me this gift, this possibility of developing myself and of writing, of expressing all that is in me. Like this girl right here, The whole world knows who she is. Most people in the world recognize that picture even if they don't know her name, or they know the name Anne Frank or the Diary of Anne Frank, even if you haven't read it. She did it. She made herself immortal by writing what she knew. And she kind of like, she cuts herself down a little bit here at the end. She's like, oh, at the age of 14 with so little experience, how can you write about philosophy? But she is. And for those of you who've been, lucky enough to be uh, in the classroom with a teacher who knows this, writers are special kind of philosophers. And I know philosophy sounds like a big abstract idea, but philosophy is just, you know, ideas about the world, and everybody has a philosophy. Everybody needs a philosophy. Otherwise, how do you know what's right and wrong or good or bad or what's up and what's down if you don't have a philosophy? And even if you don't call it philosophy, you've got one. And she, in her journal so far in these pages, has hit on so many ideas that are brilliant. And you don't need to be old to be brilliant. Sometimes it helps, but that's she's just, if you're a writer, you're a philosopher, because you're hitting on ideas that are true no matter what. And that's why people read them and why people preserve them and pass them on, because you've said something profound that other people recognize. Oh, that's true. And hey, dude, read this. This chick says some good stuff. And that's kind of what that's about. And I know I'm an English teacher, so it might be a little bit biased toward writing. I like to write myself. So I've got a book somewhere in there I haven't written yet. I need to find the time to do that. But I think that whatever your gift is, because you've got one, everybody's got one. It might not be for writing, but it might be for mechanics and engineering. It might be for cooking and the culinary arts. It might be for caretaking. It might be for teaching. It could be for lots and lots and lots of different things, but there's a gift inside of you that it's your job to develop and express whatever is inside of you, to let it out into the world. And so I'll go back to where I started. Sometimes in the classroom, I get to watch young people do that. And it's super rewarding and kind of one of the things I'm missing a lot. Springtime is magic anyway. It's the time when a lot of students and teachers hit their stride. And so if you're wondering why your teacher friends are so depressed and want to go back to school, is because we know we're missing the best part of the year. The part where the lessons start to become dynamic and flow, because the kids have hit their stride, and they're doing themselves in the most beautiful way. But at the end of this particular journal entry, where Anne figures out what she wants to be and what she wants to do, I want to take a minute to encourage you to do your soul searching, to figure out who you want to be and what you want to do and what's your gift to the world, because you've got one. And if you're struggling to find out what it is, or where it lies, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it one more time. Writing a journal can help, because it makes you slow down and think. As you form the words and you write them in your own hand, you have to slow down enough to think about that and what it means. And you can reflect on your own journals and read them back over from years past and say, look at who I was 6 months or a year or 2 years ago and how much I've grown up. Anne's done that in her journal. And that's how you find yourself. It really is. You got to think about yourself, write about the things that are in your heart, or say the things that are on your heart. Some people will say them in poetry or music, or some people write in math equations, quite frankly. Those are brilliant minds. I wish I had one of. But this could be a time of reflection and really good things for you. So try not to be sad during coronavirus quarantine. You can cry your heart out like Anne does at the beginning of the journal, but then you suck it up, buttercup, and go find yourself. And let me know what you find when you get there. It's one of my favorite parts about life. Thanks so much. I'll see you again tomorrow.